It happened. It happened. MLSC announced Monday the organization's decision to part ways with GM Brad Treliving. Done. Keith Pelly, throughout the course of this season, there has been deep analysis into both the current state of the Toronto Maple Leafs organization and the direction needed to achieve the ultimate goal of delivering a Stanley Cup championship team. Treliving is a man that we all have deep respect and appreciation for, both as a hockey executive, and as a person, but it was determined that the club must chart a new course under different leadership. I'm just going to skip that next part. Treliving was named general manager of the Leafs in May 23, and the club had compiled a 139, 92, and 27 record. Overall, not bad. They won a round. They lost in Game 7 to the Florida Panthers in the second round, the eventual Cup winners. But, in a bigger perspective, guys, this is a needed change. I don't think any Leaf fan is going to disagree with this decision. And frankly, it's the right decision. I think Treliving should be fired before Craig Berube. I'm going to bring it up in a second, but you guys knew I was pretty, I hold back until I see the worst result possible. And I mean, you wait till kind of that ending game, you wait till the season's over. But yeah, now I'm going to start being real negative in a different type of way. I mean, this guy coming in ruined the trajectory of this team and what they could have been without Mitch Marner. There was an opportunity this past offseason. Yes, there's the opportunity way back when Brendan Shanahan really ruined the direction of this organization when he trumped Kyle Dubas, didn't let him trade one of the star players, and then hired a yes man in Brad Treliving. And not only did they lose Marner for nothing practically, they don't replace that type of production in the offseason. I'm going to go over some of the trades he made. To get Matthias Michelli, which every Leaf fan was trying to convince himself that was enough. And basically, outside of that, you acquired Dakota Joshua, who's at best a third liner. Obviously, what we've seen from him, pretty fourth liner-ish. And that's basically it. They get to the trade deadline. They're in a selling position. They trade off Nick Waugh. They trade off Scott Lawton. They trade off Bobby McMahon. So, long story short, Brad Treliving comes in and does nothing. Goes months sleeping. And probably made the worst trade deadline trade I think I've ever seen in my life. And I've held back because I wanted to believe at the time that was a move that could put the Leafs over the top past the Panthers. And they got to a Game 7, but you know what? Losers. It doesn't really matter. You guys knew how I felt about Fraser Minten being part of this future of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I said multiple times last year that he had the makings of being the third line center and maybe eventually the second line center above John Tavares as Tavares slows down. And you're seeing that in Boston. So I said that over a year ago, and it's showing to be true. Fraser Minten's been spending time at the top line for the Boston Bruins. And you know what? Don't stop there, Brad Treliving. Don't stop there. A future second line center for a fourth or fifth defenseman. Don't stop there. We're also going to send you a first-round pick in Boston. It's only going to be top 5 protected. So for ass, because I make no moves in the offseason to replace Marner's production, I'm going to risk that pick being from 6 to 10. Guess what? That's likely going to happen. It's very likely to happen. And I just don't know what this guy was thinking. How bad of a general manager do you have to be to make 0 moves to upgrade after losing Mitch Marner, after you only top 5 protected that first-round pick that you gave up, including Fraser Minten and including a 4th-round pick that actually looks like it's going to be a sneaky prospect? I could rant about this trade alone for probably 10 minutes. I'm not going to because we're going to move into the next conversation, but it's a sad situation. And you know what? Thank God he's gone. Thankfully, he is gone. It was the right decision from Keith Pelly. He should not last. And when he said it was on him, yeah, it was on you, Brad. I've never seen that from a general manager. I've never seen a general manager make such a horrendous move, like a John Ferguson Jr. type trade, and then follow that up with 0 moves in the offseason. I tried to stay optimistic. Like on the Leafs perspective, I'm going to be positive as much as I can, but I'm glad this happened. It's as simple as that. I talked about a little bit of a wish list earlier on X. I mean, Vegas is just so cutthroat. They just do not care, right? They're in a playoff spot. Bruce Cassidy won them a Stanley Cup. Think about Toronto. Oh, Brendan Shanahan. Let's be attached to all the core 4 players. Vegas, done! We're not playing how we want. Done! You're out of here. Vegas does not care. Bruce Cassidy, see ya. John Tortorella in. I don't care if you agree or disagree with that move. Vegas makes decisions, man. They make statements. There's no country club there. So my conversation is, it starts like, I think if MLSC at the top, which if they could look at one of those names, a little bit more cutthroat, Chris Pronger would make changes. Doug Armstrong knows how to do it. At a GM level, you really got to start getting creative. I think there's a lot of respect to Brandon Pridham. Honestly, I think on a respect basis, but actually a basis of doing right by this team and fixing Brad Treliving's issues, I think Brandon Pridham's a good candidate for that. Evan Gold, he's been rocking it with Providence. If Toronto could steal somebody from Boston's organization in terms of a very positive move, do it. Little revenge tour, come on, let's see it. Or Jim Nill. We'll see what happens with Jim Nill's contract situation. The Jim Nill, Pete DeBoer combo could be an interesting topic. But obviously, Jim Nill let Pete DeBoer go. But maybe a Jim Nill, Bruce Cassidy combo. And I had to give respect to my guy, Jay McKee with the Bulldogs. Not my guy, but you want to call him my guy because he's probably the best coach in the OHL right now. And I think he would be a good candidate for an NHL team. And we'll see. It might not be the Leafs. But Bruce Cassidy and Jim Nill combo makes a lot of sense. And I don't know if Jim Nill really wants a president above him. So maybe Jim Nill's president and GM. That could be an opportunity there. But I just think in terms of what Chris Pronger and Doug Armstrong's resumes bring, I think those are valuable assets to have with your team. Brad Treliving running hockey ops was always the biggest nightmare. And anybody that didn't see that, I mean, like I said, by the end, I'm not a Shanahan guy. And the fact that he blocked Dubas from doing what the Leafs needed at that time it set this team back years. They could have got a lot more from Mitch Marner had Shanahan said, yeah, do it. And he bet on his guys, and you know what? It proved to be wrong. And a lot of people, including myself, after the Montreal series, after that 2019 2021 series, 2022 series, and 2023 series against the Boston Bruins. 2019 was a good shot to do it, but you're not going to be upset about it. Kadri's suspension, all that stuff. Columbus won the bubble. You blame that one on the bubble, sure. But Montreal and the next 2 years after that, somewhere in there, they should have traded Mitch Marner or they should have traded one of the core four. That was the opportunity. And you weren't trading Tavares because you just got him. Toronto boy, I just don't think you were ever going to trade Tavares. Matthews was never likely. So you know what? Nylander scored some big playoff goals, but it always had to be Marner or Nylander to split it up. If there's a cultural issue and a country club initiated by Marner and Matthews, then yeah, Marner was the guy to go. So a lot of Leaf fans always are talking about the Mitch Marner thing, and we'll see what happens in Vegas. And then other fans around the league are always confused. Oh, it looked like Marner wasn't the problem. No one said it was just Marner. Yeah, I ripped into Marner, and a lot of people ripped into Marner. And there's always been other issues on this team. Marner was a part of it. The issue was that you didn't trade Marner 2 or 3 years ago, and that's what fans are upset about. He was a problem. He was. If you couldn't see that, then I can't convince you otherwise. But there were other problems on the team. You just needed to get most value possible at the best time, and that was around 2023, 2024. So it's a tough situation. It is what it is. So anyways, I'm probably going to talk about this more. Trey's gone. It's the right decision, and it's as simple as that. Anyways, comment your thoughts. Hope to see you guys soon. Peace.